Ja, herzlich willkommen zurück ins HORSCH Live-Studio. Wir wollen uns mit Einzelkorn-Sätechnik beschäftigen. Wenn wir heute an Einzelkorn denken, dann glaube ich, kommen sehr schnell die Klassiker zum Vorschein. Das ist der Mais, das sind natürlich die Rüben, Sonnenblumen, aber wenn wir natürlich ein bisschen weiter überlegen, sind es letztendlich auch die Sojabohnen und natürlich auch mehr und mehr der Raps. Für Einzelkornsaat haben wir im Hause HORSCH die Maestro-Baureihe. Die Maestro-Baureihe existiert schon länger. Was wir gemacht haben, wir haben vor einigen Jahren begonnen und ein neues Dosiersystem entwickelt.
We
Genauer
started
zwei
in developing
Dosiersysteme
a
entwickelt. Wir haben
new
einmal
metering
ein
system. Actually, we
Airwap-Dosierer
have
entwickelt,
developed
der mit
two
dem
different
Vakuumprinzip
systems,
vereinzelt,
one with
und
the
wir haben den
Wacom
Air-Speed-Dosierer entwickelt, der mit
principle
dem
and the
Übergabesystem vereinzelt.
high-speed
Und jetzt ist natürlich immer die Frage,
dispenser, which
welches
works with
System
overpower.
kommt denn wann zum Einsatz?
So,
Genauer
what
die
system
Einstellung wird es nicht
is
geben.
being
Die
used when?
Möglichkeiten, Thomas ist bei uns im
This is something
Sales-Support
that
tätig,
Thomas
der
MURR will
Schwerpunkt
say.
liegt
He's
tatsächlich,
working at
das
our
heißt, er
place.
ist wesentlich mit
It's
dabei, was die
the single
Entwicklungsthemen geht.
technology
Er ist
is
aber auch
his
ganz nah
specialty,
dabei,
so he's
wenn es
really
um den
very, very
Feldeinsatz
close
geht.
to
Und von dem
everything
her
and
glaube ich,
also
hat
very
uns der
close
Thomas
to
da in dem
working in the
Bereich
field.
den besten Einblick
And
zu zeigen.
I think
Ich
that
freue mich auf
Thomas
einen
is the
interessanten
right
Beitrag,
person to
den wir
give
im
us a
Vorfeld
good
aufgezeichnet
insight. I'm
haben.
looking forward to a very nice presentation. Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas. I'm responsible for the parts in the support room, and I would also like to present you the Master CV as it stands here, and here is also the Maestro SV. We have introduced a different dose version in 2020, and now it's available in all our machines, in all variants, 3-point machines, smaller totes service, and also large sewing machines. The dosing device is very accessible in TS, also in the Bewley container. It's stored in a slight angle. We can open it very easily, only using one hand, and then we can accede directly to the dosifying disc. We can detach it from the motor shaft and take it out. Now we installed a standard disc with 30 holes and 50mm hole diameter. The disc is applied X-Works and usually suitable for most corn varieties. There are even larger and smaller discs for corn, as well as a variety for slices or disc for all different kind of seeds. Here at the back side, you can set the slider, which we can stop at the same time. We can control the level of how much seed is going into the dosification system. In the sugar beet, for example, we have a lower level, and with beans or corn, it usually opens completely. In lower part, it's the grains, and then by means of a vacuum disc, they are transported upwards, where they are separated. And the special part about this separation device is that we don't have to be adjusted. It's always installed in this form. It's suitable for all different crops. So we don't have to change it when we change the crop region to corn, sugar beets, sunflower, and rapeseed. The separator is very accurate by this dosage device, and can also be regulated with the brush. You have two manifolds that use the pressure and reduce the defects. The grains are transported and then via this top, you see, it's all vacuum inside this device, and the seeds fall down. As a last component, we have installed the cleaning wheel in the lid, which is responsible to keep the hose clean. For example, if dirt gets in. And in the vacuum system, the different grains are passed through the pipe and fall downwards into the soil, and where they are intercepted and pressed into the soil. This wheel is here to intercept the grains and above to secure them for the rolls, so that especially the water is given. In the case of the vacuum system, you can also dismantle this disc which may be necessary if you have to work in better condition. You have, as a result, you have a longer time frame for the work, and usually you drive slower 1 or 2 times in order to get a good longitudinal distribution of the grains. The grains do not have to be pressed there either, because they're already riding into the moist soil. Due to this design, our dosifier is very easy to handle and at the same time is very reliable. And the vacuum system is approved for up to 12 kilometers per hour of driving speed. And corn usually work at that speed. In the case of sugar beet, for example, you work a little slower, maybe 8 to 10 kilometers, but also a vacuum system allows a very slow work if necessary. For example, when you work on small areas or in curvy in a curvy area, you can work with 4, 5, or 6 kilometers per hour with our vacuum dosifier, especially corn and sunflower zone. But it's also possible to use them for sugar beet, rapeseed, soybeans, peas, or other things. Furthermore, it's also possible to use to fall the grains. There is a possibility to sow a wide range of vegetable and spices. For example, onion is very, as well as parsley or pumpkin, and there is a very wide range of grain size. For this wide variety, it's very flexible used. With our machines, we have distances for about up to 80 centimeters of distance between rows, 50 centimeters for corn, beets, rapeseed, etc. And of course, 25 centimeters here in Germany or in Central Europe for Sila and grains. And maybe these differences, it's we can talk about here. In the CB, we have 8 rows of construction. That means it's 6 meters of working width, which can dose 85,000 grains, for example, with the 50 machine here, which is the 18 SV. That means 18 and 50 centimeters. You can accordingly work more per meter. And in the CV here, you keep 12 rows at 50. That means it's 85,000 grains. That means that the speed of this fire is slightly lowered for each individual row. Here we have the 50s and 75s series, the same volume, and we can control them with our HORSCH Connect or mobile control that runs via a mobile phone. In the case of the 75 series with 85,000 grains, we have a driving speed of 12 kilometers and a speed of 42 or 43 revolutions. And in the series of the 50s, we have the same speed of 12 kilometers, only 85,000 grains, only 27 to 88 revolutions per minute. That means that's much slower. Since the speed dosifier was introduced in the series shortly after the vacuum dosifier in 2021 and is also available in all machine types, the small ones for the 6-meter range, and also with the big machines that work up to 18 meters width. Here the dosifier is very good and very easy to reach. You can see it works actually clean. We have an electric engine here, and we have that simplifier here. It works very easily, and it's also the same system that the vacuum dosifier. The difference is the transport of the corns. In the delivery of the corn, the high pressure makes separation and is being activated through that hole, and then it falls down directly and is made on speed. And the airspeed system has an important. It can work with that only because otherwise the corns would just fall down without control. Because you really get to that active transport, you can work very quickly. We're very independent according to the road. Usually we talk about 15 kilometers per hour, but there is also drivers who work with 16, 17 or 18 kilometers. Due to the very high driving speeds, an immense impact power is possible. And a customer of ours in northern Germany has 80 hectares with corn harvester, and within 8 hours he worked 18 hectares with an average speed of 15 hours. With a normal 24S6, as you can see in the background, in the eastern part, you even made with an average speed of 18 hours 450 hectares of corn was sown. This is an immense impact power that can be used in specified dosification, can also in the same way just as sugar beets or rapeseed or soybeans and beans and all the legumes can be sown very precisely and effectively. In the last 2 years, HORSCH has introduced two new dosifiers, which are very, very easy to handle. And at the same time, they are very accurate in sowing, in the storage, and for all crops that can be, we can use a single machine. Due to the possibility to choose between the WAY and SPD, we can respond individually to the conditions and requirements of our customers and have the opportunity to offer the right system for every farmer.
Herzlich willkommen hier im Studio.
Welcome here at the studio. Thomas, we just had a very nice overview of the different dosifying systems. Can you tell me when we use the vacuum system and when we tend to use the other system? Well, actually, it always depends on the conditions and the general frame. For example, if there is a tendency to have smaller structures, you don't have a very big tractor, and the impact and the speed are not needed, then of course the vacuum system is actually a better one to use because it's more flexible, because you can drive very slowly and you can use different crops. But if you need the impact and if you have a very short time frame for sowing, then of course the speed system is the better idea, is the better thing. So basically, can you say that one system is more accurate than the other one? The fact is that both systems have the same principle behind them, and therefore both systems have the same accuracy. It's just that with the speed dosifier you can drive more quickly, and in order to achieve the same accuracy you have to reduce the speed or adapt the speed accordingly depending on the surroundings and on the environment. So what factors, what conditions are decisive for you? Well, actually, of course, it's the surface of the soil, it's the soil itself. These are the factors that really have an effect on the accuracy. So if we have a look at the market, so what is about the speed system and the vacuum system? Well, actually, we would say that for 2022, it's about 50-50 with both systems, and maybe more vacuum systems are in the market right now, but the system is going towards the speed system because it allows quicker driving. Do you think that there are markets where you think that the vacuum will remain? Or, well, yes, I think this is the case. In Central Europe, for example, where we have very different crops and special crops, the vacuum system will remain. And also, when we look at the other side of the ocean, in Brazil, for example, the vacuum system will remain to be the number one of the two systems because they have to work in very humid conditions, and they have to be able to dismantle and dismount the system quickly. So when you have the different crops, everyone knows about the classic one, but when you talk about special crops, what are you thinking about? On one hand side, different legumes, for example, or like different onions, for example, chickpeas, stuff like that. These are very, very small crops, and it's really not complicated at all to use the system, and then the falling system is easier. And in special cases, I think this is the method that works better. The vacuum system will be the more suitable solution. When we talk about variable driving speeds, how important is that? Oh, well, of course, when you if you have to adapt your speed very clearly, when you want to accelerate from 8 to 15 kilometers, then of course the speed and the propulsion changes. And this is very important because here also the pressure will change. For example, the pressure you need in order to get a profoundness of 5 centimeters. And this is automatic, of course. This is a system which adapts the pressure immediately if the soil gets softer, or if you have to adapt your speed accordingly. This system will react automatically so that you always reach the correct depth of planting, and also prevent densification of the soil. So it's just the optimum. The optimal adaptation is what it's all about. Yes, of course, not too much and not too little, and this would be the correct thing. Yes, of course, the depth, and especially in very humid years like it was last year, it's even more important not to give too much. Okay, very good point. Humid year, are there any possibilities, for example, to have another technical positive effect in order to reach that? Yes, of course, there are several possibilities. In our Maestro models, we offer two special roles for that. It's always in combination with a normal rubber wheel, and which opens the soil and prevents densification of the soil, and therefore the densification is being loosened a little bit, and they are always positioned on the side where you will put the fertilizer, so this will be better for the young roots and for the plant. And especially in very cold years, the soil warms up more quickly, and the plants very often can start growing even a day or a day and a half earlier. In the last video, we saw a machine with single boxes with the MTS system, etc. Would you like to make a short resume so that we understand what equipment is good for which machine? Well, in the 3-point models, the RFR RX, of course, the only container variant available. The CVX, which is the 6-meter range sower, we have the container as well as the MTS option available. And for a big series, the SV and SX, there's only the MTS variety option, because these are machines who work with very, very big quantities, and therefore the MTS system, of course, has a big advantage when you work with big bag material, etc. So this would actually definitely be important. So it's a logistical advantage. Yes, logistics is a big topic, and of course the force of impact and the reduction of physical work. So all these things are important. Yes, of course, the most machines are driven with section control. Do we also have an advantage there? Can you say something like that, or is there a partial solution? Well, there is this. If you have to disconnect 1 or 2 rows, these rows, of course, don't need any material any longer, and the MTS system has an automatic control for that, and therefore the transport is also stopped. So you don't have different level of filling at that. The sensor will tell you as soon as the deposit is getting empty, and it's always the same. There is no possibility that the MTS system finishes 1 row before another. So you showed us the dosification devices, you showed us how they work, you showed us how individualization works. And as it seems, you changed those wheels several times. Yes, of course, this is something that you have to do rather often. It's a technology that's rather easy to do. I think sometime we made it for a video video, and it took me like 10 or 15 seconds. It's really very easy. Once you know what you have to touch and what you have to do, or what your hands have to do, it's really almost automatic, and it's really easy to be done. Okay, I can see that sometimes we have to ask those questions too. And these are the questions. Yeah, how long does it take me in order to change this sewing wheel or to expose the remaining material of the deposits in order to change, etc. You see that with these series it's really very easy to be done. I think that's a very good and valuable information, Thomas. Thank you very much for your information, for this information and your presentation. And I would say in a few minutes we change and get into the next presentation. Thank you very much.